Next gen is now current gen is now last gen, but I am in no way ready to forget the great slew of games that the last 8 years gave us. What is going on, guys and girls? It is Ghost Robo, and welcome back to my games of the generation. Whew! We made it through the two huge console launches, and it was incredibly epic, and I cannot wait to see what those systems deliver in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many years. But let's not forget the great games of the past platforms. The first one I gave you guys is Mirror's Edge, and I thought that was exceptional for its ability to really sort of revolutionize the first-person format and deliver a game entirely focused on movement, on speed, on parkour, on freedom, and not rely on guns or combat as its primary focus, and also provide a really unique setting, a beautiful world, something that I thought really clicked in terms of design and aesthetic. And the next game, it isn't so different from that in that it creates a very unique experience. When I think of this, it's the only game that comes to mind. There's nothing else quite like it. Now, I really like Valve's work. I probably could have picked any number of games from their catalog for this list. Half-Life 2 is one of my favorite shooters, and still really waiting for Half-Life 3, Gabe. And Left 4 Dead is one of my just defining co-op experiences of the last decade, and I'm super excited for Left 4 Dead 3, actually. I hope that comes out soon for the new consoles. But Portal 2 really establishes itself as a game I feel unlike any other, as a game that really nails its theme, it nails its identity so directly, so truly, that it has to be one of my games of the generation, because there's nothing else quite like it, and it does what it does at a super, super high level. So you have this very grounded, gamey mechanic of puzzles that I think is just brilliant. You know, portals and lasers and turrets and now goos and gels in Portal 2. It's a really great way to sort of just give people brain warps and make them have to think and figure out these puzzles in beautiful 3D space, and the epitome of taking game and delivering a mechanic that allows you to do the game, you know? But what really sets Portal apart for me is it doesn't just let itself be a puzzle simulator. It crafts a incredibly immersive world that has such a unique feel, such a diverse range of, I want to say emotions, because what it does is it mixes such sterile puzzle solving in these chambers and these elevators and this robotic voice over the loudspeakers and constantly harassing you with just a little bit of darkness, a little bit of creepiness. I remember playing Portal 1 and being blown away by the halfway point when things kind of take a turn for the worse, and Portal 2 basically takes that and just pushes it to the 11th level. You know, it takes things so much farther, and for a puzzle game, which at its core it is, you know, you strip away the visuals, you strip away GLaDOS, you strip away so much, this becomes a 3D space puzzler. But no, Valve was not satisfied with creating a game that was mechanically great. I think that could have been a fun game. I think I would have loved it, to be honest with you. I'm really big on things that challenge me, and especially that can combine sort of fun of video games, like moving around and shooting stuff and jumping up and down. And it sounds simple, but really a lot of puzzle games are point and click, and they don't really involve sort of the fun of controlling a character. And Portal definitely merges those two. But what it does more brilliantly, I feel, is create a world that is almost as immersive and almost as enjoyable as something like BioShock. And I think it's a strange comparison to make, but just hold on a second, because those two games both craft worlds that are like, this place, it's got to be a real place. They know everything about this place, right? You have this Aperture science facility, and as, you know, over the course of the game, you go almost back in time, figuratively, through the ages of this science mecca and see where they started their experiments and how, you know, GLaDOS and everything comes together, and you meet these new characters. And BioShock is similar in that Rapture feels like a place that it's got to exist, right? They've created such a sense of reality within that world that you're like, dang, I want to go there. And that's how I felt playing Portal 2. It's like, man, this is a game, these are puzzles, but this world, like, how did they manage to attach that much heartfelt storytelling onto what seemingly is a very mathematical, very logical puzzle game? And that's such a crazy combination that, to me, it sets off all the red flags, or all the gold flags rather, of like, this is a game really pay attention to. And I thought the voice acting was super amazing. Let's not forget about GLaDOS and Wheatley and just those characters that are so memorable. Sure, they do the Gordon Freeman thing and give you a character that doesn't speak, and we really don't know much of anything about Chell, but it doesn't matter because it allows you to place yourself within this game, within this world, and figuring out these puzzles. I loved how they made it almost like a Disney ride. So you're going through these different chambers and you're seeing some of the places where the walls are coming apart and how it's falling apart. You're seeing how GLaDOS is putting things back together. You're seeing what happened, down below many years ago and sort of unraveling a mystery along the way. And it's something that they definitely improved immensely on from Portal 1. It's almost as if Portal 1 was a tech demo for Portal 2, this full-blown adventure. And I really glom onto, I really get attached to this feeling that there's nothing quite like Portal 2. The soundscape, the visuals, you see it, a screenshot, you hear a sound, and you know that that's Portal 2. And in today's day and age, when so many games are carbon copies of each other, when there are so many military shooters, when there are so many, indie platformers, when there are so many sports games, when there are so many, zombie... This is something that's really unique, and I really appreciate that, and I can't get over the fact that there isn't another game that, to me, scratches the exact itch that Portal 2 scratches, and I think it's a really pretty game. It doesn't do anything too crazy with visuals in terms of, it's confined, so they're able to have a very structured space to work with, but I think it's really pretty. I love sort of that, like I said, sterile, quarantined look of the world, and it reminds me of just, you can see how it's part of the Half-Life universe in some way, maybe, hopefully, because they just, it feels futuristic, it feels robotic, it feels like Matrixy, like beyond the time of regular humans, there is this factory and this creepy place with this rogue AI that is just laying basically puzzle hell for you all around your very footsteps, and that's so cool to me. Sort of the way that the characters evolve, GLaDOS evolves and becomes more of an ally, and Wheatley and just all of that is really, I think, very fun. I love some of the creepier moments, the darker moments, the sad moments, like you're carrying the turrets around and they're like, save me, or whatever they say. You can tell like something's amiss. Like, it's just weird. There's a little bit of weirdness. And I think they've done a nice job of making a game that can appeal to just about anybody. It has enough charm to really attract a younger audience, provided they can, power through the puzzles. And it has enough intrigue, enough mystery, enough little fun jokes. And, Wheatley's just quite the character to really capture the older audience as well and keep them engaged in the story, not to mention co-op. We haven't even spoke upon that, but I thought that was a really fun side mode as well, adding 4 portals. It's sort of a brilliant achievement just in the fact that they were able to make all these different kinds of puzzles work so well, and to establish solution sets must have taken ages. Think about how hard it is to design a game. And think about most games just really involve a landscape that you cross from point A to point B, and now have one where you have to account for all these possibilities of what the person could do with these portals. Basically you're giving them free reign to go be anywhere, and then to establish a solution, a way to make it work that is obvious enough but still kind of hidden. They do a great job with visual cues. That's something that I'm really big on as well. Games that share their teachings through visual cues instead of arrows pointing at, over someone's head, or people yelling, come over here, or follow the general on the screen. The typical Call of Duty Battlefield military shooter syndrome of just leading the player quite literally by the hand. Here, that's not the case. They really encourage you to think, and I like that a lot. I thought that Portal 2 kind of really allowed Valve to use everything in their tool set. Their cool engine, their graphics, their great sense of storytelling, their perfect sense of place. You think of things like Half-Life 2 and, Ravenholm, and just a lot of these locations. I think Portal 2, the factory, the science lab, whatever you want to name it, is their best piece of place. I think it's their best environment. Also, their quirky humor. There's just a lot of great things that make it such a good game. And I still do feel that all Valve games share a sense of like this is a Valve game, and maybe you get that from some other games to a lesser degree, but not in the same way, at least to me. Like Nintendo, hallmarks of Nintendo games that you can recognize across franchises. Valve, hallmarks of Valve games that you can recognize across franchises. For me, it's harder to really draw parallels between Rayman, Legends and Assassin's Creed 4. It's harder for me to draw parallels between I don't know, Call of Duty and do you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I understand that Valve is a smaller company in focus, but I like the fact that their games sort of exude a similar smell, a similar feel. You're like, this is a Valve game. And I like that, and I think that they should be applauded for that. And I'm excited to see where they carry things in the next generation. I think they're one of the companies at the forefront of innovation in terms of gameplay mechanics and really staying true to mechanics driving the experience. Sure, Portal 2 is a great story, but what really keeps that game so held together so well, wound so tightly, is that the mechanics of the puzzle solving is really fun and really engaging. They sort of try to really experiment with co-op and Left 4 Dead. I'm excited to see where they go. And to me, I'm speaking on more than just Portal 2 because I appreciate and love Valve's catalog of games that came out this generation. Portal 2 just happens to be the one that stands out. I did a full walkthrough of it in my early days here on YouTube as Ghost Robo, and it was a whole lot of fun. It's a game that encourages laughter, encourages smiles, and something we're seeing, and I think more and more people are getting sick and tired of, is this sense of doom and dread and disgust in games. It's all about murder. It's all about blowing stuff up. It's all about slicing throats and taking... You know what I mean? Like, there's just a real negative air around a lot of games. Not that the games themselves are bad in any way. I don't mean to degrade those games, but just to say that the storylines and the focus and the overall thematics that are being explored are a very gloomy side of life. And I feel like while it's not like a happy story about a family going to Disney World, Portal 2 delivers a more lighthearted adventure that focuses on totally different things than you can really find anywhere else. And it reminds me of Mirror's Edge a lot in some of the things it tries to do with movement. Again, you have a true sense of speed a lot of times as you're flying through these portals. You can establish these really cool little moments, where you launch yourself or you figure something out or you go about something in a different way and it works. And there's a sense of everything that you would want. So you have the puzzle solving and the feeling of brilliance when you figure out a solution. There's the sense of environment and just this feeling of being totally captivated by this world and wanting to be there and wow, this place is so cool. What's going to happen next? There's a sense of fun characters that you want to get to know, or at least put GLaDOS on your phone instead of Siri. Why don't they do that? I've been talking about that for years. Put freaking voice packs on iPhone. Anyways, it's really got a lot. And then the movement of a character, and that's something that I want to come back to as we close out here, is that it merges sort of the more free-form first-person game type with the more solid and typically slow puzzle-solving game type, and combines them into a really, really great package and delivers every step of the way. I feel like there's not really a dull moment in that game. From the beginning, you're like, what's going on? And even if you never played Portal 1, it sets you up in such a way that you're incredibly intrigued and you're not really losing much. There was hardly any story stuff in Portal 1. GLaDOS, sort of led the way, but you can jump into Portal 2 and really just be confused, and not in a bad way, but like, I want to figure this out. And I like that. I like that there's a sense of mystery of something went wrong. And again, you're noticing a pattern here with some of the games that I have selected and will select, that sense of place, environments being very rich and full of life and full of detail, and an evolved story that can really feel like a book, almost like a world that you wanted to venture into. Why do so many kids love Harry Potter? Because they want to be at Hogwarts, right? Why do so many people like BioShock 1? Because Rapture was such a magical place and had such an eeriness to it that you just had to explore every corner and find out what really went on in the mind of Andrew Ryan. And Portal 2 definitely delivers upon that for me in a similar fashion, while also providing a freaking outstanding puzzle game that goes down as, I think, one of the greats of all time, and definitely deserves its spot as one of my games of this past. Now, generation. Stay tuned for more. What do you guys think about Portal 2? Have you played it? Do you want to play it? Go check out my walkthrough if you've never seen Portal 2, or if you want to just watch me ramble when I was younger about this very good and sometimes goofy game. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite games of the generation are. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and are ready for the next one. I still have a lot more to share with you guys. So until that time, though, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate. Links up above to Mirror's Edge if you want to hear that discussion as well. It was a fun one. We will see you all later.